From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Tonight. Senator Ademola Adeleke wins Osun State governorship election on his second try, beating incumbent Governor Gboyega Oyetola. President Muhammadu Buhari, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and others congratulate Governor-elect Ademola Adeleke, who promises accountability and a fight on corruption. Nigerian Bar Association elects Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Yakubu Mayaku, as its new president, succeeding Olumide Akpata. Another foreign scene, plane crash in Greece leaves all 8 crew members dead. We begin in Osun State, where after a keenly contested election in what could be described as a two-horse race by political foes, Osun State has now a governor-elect in the person of Senator Ademola Adeleke of the People's Democratic Party. Senator Adeleke was declared winner of the July 16 governorship election by the Independent National Electoral Commission earlier today. Announcing the result from the coalition center in Osogbo, the state capital, the chief returning officer and the Vice-Chancellor of University of Lagos, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogunnipe, says Mr. Adeleke polled 403,371 votes to defeat his closest rival, Adegboyega Oyetola of the All Progressives Congress, who polled 375,027 votes. And Senator Adeleke's initial reaction to the victory was dramatic. Our correspondent, Jeff Uzono, reports.
Voting was concluded at a keenly contested election across the 30 local government areas of the state. The verdict of the people is in. The residents of Osun State have chosen who will manage their commonwealth and lead them as governor for the next 4 years.
On behalf of the chairman,
here at the Collation Center in Osogbo, INEC's Chief Returning Officer and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Toyin Ogundipe, announces the results of the election.
Adegboyega Isiaka Oyetola, APC 375027. Adeleke Ademola Jackson Nuruddin, PDP 403371. On behalf of the chairman of INEC of PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner, and he is returned elected.
A major political upset in recent times. Senator Ademola Adeleke of the People's Democratic Party, on a second attempt at the top job, finally defeats an incumbent governor, Gboyega Oyetola, at an exercise adjudged to be generally peaceful.
I will satisfy the requirements of the law. Is hereby declared.
Overwhelmed by emotion after that announcement, Governor-elect Senator Ademola Adeleke prostrates before his elder brother, Mr. Adeleke, who is singer Davido's father. As a musician himself, couldn't hold back his tears. Senator Adeleke dedicates his victory to his late elder brother Isiaka, who was a senator and governor of the state, while promising not to disappoint the people of Osun State.
Thank my blood brother, Dr. Adeleke, my sister, who is like my mother, Mrs. Dupe Sonny, for the support. I mean, I cannot just explain it. And I know now that there's God. And I dedicate this victory to my late brother, Senator Isiaka Adeleke. He lives on. He lives on. What I can tell you right now, I'm bringing on the table integrity, steadfastness, accountability into Osun State. Corruption, gone.
In his reaction, the chairman, PDP National Campaign Council for the election, Governor Doye Diri, in company of other party leaders, say the result demonstrates the power of the people.
From the day of campaign, I told you that there was organic support for the candidate and for the party, and it has been so proven. Let no man play the role of God. And I've also told you here that this election was not only for Osun State. This election was a national election. Yes. This election was a test election for 2023. Yes. I warn you, PDP is coming. 2023.
Meanwhile, it's been wild jubilation across parts of the state by supporters and PDP members following the victory of the party. Senator Adeleke, who is also referred to as the dancing senator, contested against 15 other candidates, and with the election over, it is now time for him to build a state for all.
President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated Senator Ademola Adeleke following his victory in Saturday's governorship election. He says the people of Osun State have demonstrated their conviction at the election, and their will must always matter and be respected. In a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, the president says the successful conduct of the election is a further testimony to the maturity and commitment of all stakeholders, the electoral body, security agencies, political parties, the media, civil society, and the electorate to further strengthen the integrity of the electoral process in the country. He assures that his commitment to credible elections remains unshaken. In the meantime, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has congratulated Senator Ademola Adeleke following his victory at the polls. In a tweet by the former vice president, the victory of Senator Adeleke has brought light to Osun after a well-fought victory. While congratulating the people, he notes that they have proven by Saturday's election that power indeed belongs to the people. Meanwhile, the national chairman of the PDP, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, congratulated Senator Adeleke, describing the victory as a day of redemption. In a statement, Senator Ayu says the election was a referendum on the disastrous APC stewardship and proves conclusively that Nigerians want PDP back, and indeed PDP is coming back. Senator Ayu adds that the people of Osun State have spoken, and Nigeria will speak too. Well, more on Saturday's polls and the victory after for Senator Ademola Adeleke. The People's Governors Forum has congratulated the senator on his victory. A statement from the forum: the victory is as a result of the sagacity, hard work, teamwork, skillful campaigns, sufficient resource allocation, openness and humility exhibited by the governor-elect. The governors of the People's Democratic Party say that the victory is a lesson for all Nigerians that every Nigerian matters in politics. The National Peace Committee, chaired by General Abdulsalami Abubakar, has commended the people of Osun State for the peaceful conduct of the July 16 election and for coming out in large numbers to exercise their rights, while commending all who worked together to make the peaceful process possible. The committee condemned the alleged incidents of vote trading recorded during the election. The NPC also called on the winner of the election, Senator Ademola Adeleke of the People's Democratic Party, to be benevolent in victory and collaborate with citizens of Osun State, especially his co-contestants, to develop the state. For those who may be disappointed at the outcome of the election, the National Peace Committee has asked them to express their grievances through the right channels and appropriately. Meanwhile, the governor of Osun State, Gboyega Oyetola, says the All Progressives Congress, the APC, will take a position on the outcome of the governorship election after studying the results. In a statement by his chief press secretary, Ismail Omipidon, the governor says the All Progressives Congress had taken cognizance of the results of the governorship election, as announced by INEC, and will be responding appropriately after studying the results and consulting with critical stakeholders of the party. The governor also called on his supporters to remain calm and the people of the state to go about their businesses without hindrance, while asking security operatives to ensure that law and order is maintained within Osun State. It is no longer news. The Independent National Electoral Commission has declared Senator Ademola Adeleke winner of the Osun State governorship election. The governor-elect, who in his second attempt upstaged an incumbent, is a former senator whose tenure in the National Assembly is not as pronounced as his dancing steps. In this report, our correspondent Linda Akigbe gives a background of the man also called the dancing senator and his foray into politics.
The energetic former senator, with a fondness for superlative dance steps, emerges as governor-elect of Osun State.
The dancing has been with me, for a long time. But notwithstanding, there's time for everything. You dance. When you get to business, you face your business.
But Senator Adeleke's journey to winning the Osun State governorship election has been a bumpy one. He was born on May 13, 1960, to the family of a Second Republic senator and political leader of a defunct Unity Party of Nigeria, the late Senator Raji Adeleke, the Balogun of Edeland. Senator Adeleke was a businessman before his foray into politics in 2001. He was a member of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, until he decamped to the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, under which he contested for and won the Osun West by-election after the death of his elder brother, the late Senator Isiaka Adeleke, who served as the first executive governor of Osun State. Senator Adeleke threw his heart into the Osun State governorship race, also under the PDP in 2018, defeating Akin Ogumbiyi in the primary election and emerged the governorship candidate of the party. However, his political travails were just beginning. Senator Adeleke was accused and charged before an Osogbo High Court for allegedly forging his secondary school testimonial and WAEC result. However, the West African exam body clarified that he indeed sat for the examinations at the Ede Muslim High School in 1981. He proceeded to contest the Osun State governorship election, and on the 22nd of September 2018, he was said to be coasting home to victory before the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, declared the election inconclusive. INEC organized a rerun election on the 27th of September 2018 and subsequently declared Gboyega Oyetola as the winner. Litigations against Senator Adeleke continued, and in May 6, 2019, the police arrested and detained him over alleged forged certificates, but he was later discharged and acquitted. Undeterred, 4 years later, Senator Adeleke again threw his heart into the governorship race, clinching the ticket on the platform of the opposition PDP. This time, he beat his closest rival and incumbent governor of Osun State, Mr. Gboyega Oyetola, in the just concluded 2022 Osun State gubernatorial election. Linda Akigbe, Channels Television News.
Election monitoring group Yaga Africa has described the results of the just concluded Osun State governorship election declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission as consistent with ballots cast at various polling units. The group at a media briefing on its post-poll assessment says the result highlights the Osun electorate's commitment to a peaceful and conclusive election, calling on voters to always refer winners of elections to their campaign promises. Yaga Africa advises INEC on the imperatives of updating voter records and ensuring maximization of newly created polling units.
INEC official announcement on the vote cast for the 2022 Osun State gubernatorial election is overall consistent with Yaga Africa's watching the vote estimate range. Specifically, it falls within the Yaga Africa's watching the vote estimated range. Had the official result been changed at the ward, local government area, or state collation centers, the official result would not have fallen within the Yaga Africa watching the vote estimate range. Because the official result falls within the estimated range, candidates, parties, and voters should have confidence that the official result for Osun 2022 gubernatorial election reflects the ballot cast at the polling unit on Saturday, 16th July 2022. Yaga Africa commends the people of Osun for their resilience and commitment to non-violent elections. We encourage the voters to sustain their participation in the electoral process beyond the elections by holding political parties and candidates accountable for their campaign promises.
In part two, after the break, new leadership emerges for the Nigerian Bar Association as Yakubu Maikao is elected president. That's in a moment. Do join us again. Welcome back. If it has joined us, watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Senator Ademola Adeleke wins Osun State governorship election on his second try, beating incumbent governor Boyega Oyetola. President Muhammadu Buhari, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and others congratulate Governor-elect Ademola Adeleke, who promises accountability and a fight on corruption. Nigerian Bar Association elects Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Yakubu Maikao, as its new president, succeeding Olumide Akpata. And on the foreign scene, plane crash in Greece leaves all 8 crew members dead. Staying with the Osun State governorship elections, and the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has commended security agencies and the people of the state for the peaceful conduct of Saturday's polls. The IGP commends the massive deployment of police operatives, specialized units and operational assets, which facilitated the swift response to the pockets of electoral challenges, while applauding the synergy of other security agencies which assisted in the peaceful conduct of the elections. In a statement by the Force PRO, the IGP, while commending the electorates and other stakeholders for their roles, encourages Nigerians to embrace same posture in subsequent elections, especially the forthcoming general elections. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has asked the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, to take responsibility and end impunity of vote buying and undue influence in Nigeria's elections. The rights group says the electoral umpire should promptly arrest and prosecute suspected perpetrators of these criminal acts in the Osun State governorship election, as reported during Saturday's exercise. In a letter, SERAP explains that INEC has an impressive portfolio of powers of its own to curb and punish vote buying and does not need to wait for other agencies to pursue charges against suspected perpetrators and their sponsors. According to SERAP, the acts of vote buying, electoral bribery, and undue influence are clearly contrary to the provisions of the 1999 Constitution, the Electoral Act, and international standards. Prominent preacher and serving overseer of the Citadel Global Community Church, Pastor Tunde Bakare, is asking Nigerians to renew their commitment to nation building against ethnic and religious sentiments. The former presidential aspirant in the All Progressives Congress, who spoke in reaction to the Muslim tickets of the party's presidential and vice presidential candidates, says Christian leaders should channel their resources towards convening a strategy that would define the minimum standards of good governance. He also challenged politicians to demonstrate maturity in decision-making and give every Nigerian a sense of belonging.
I urge my fellow Christian leaders to approach the issue in question and the broader context of the 2023 elections with civility, clarity, and with continued hope in the possibilities of a united Nigeria, a new Nigeria that works for every Nigerian, Christian as well as Muslim. Nationhood rather than divisiveness must be the objective of every engagement. As Christian leaders, we must also realize that the church in Nigeria today is paying for decades of erroneous teaching that posited that Christians Christians have no business in politics. Going forward, ahead of 2023, we must learn from our mistakes. Christian leaders must at this point bring the candidates and their running mates to the negotiation table, doing so with an open mind and based on a clearly articulated charter for nation building and national development.
Similarly, the founder and senior pastor of Trinity House, Pastor Itwa Ighodalo, says the emergence of the Muslim presidential and vice presidential ticket of the All Progressives Congress should not put Nigerians in disarray, but should see it as an opportunity to further scrutinize those vying for political positions and enable them choose viable candidates who would represent the interests of the people.
Muslim ticket. Number one, it is everybody's fundamental human right to decide what they want to do. Okay, so it's a welcome development. It's an expression of the political mind of a certain group of people. So we have no problem with it at all. I personally have no problem, and I don't think our church has any problem with it. The issue is whether it will result in them winning that election. We will meet at the polls and we will decide what the outcome will be at that time. Okay? So it is also a call to everybody else who has an interest to pick up their interest, take it as a challenge and run with their interest. So I have no problem with it at all. It's a political calculation and they're thinking of numbers and so on and so forth. So that's okay. We will take up the challenge and vote for those we think will do right by Nigeria.
To another election, senior advocate of Nigeria, Yakubu Mekiao, has emerged the 31st president of the Nigerian Bar Association. The senior lawyer polled 22,342 votes to win the Nigerian Bar Association election. He is followed closely by Joe Kiari Gadzama, who polled 10,842 votes, and Taidi Jonathan, who had 1,373 votes. The chairman of the Electoral Committee, Professor Ayodele Akintude, made the declaration this morning after the election, which held online.
The NBA Institute, venue for the declaration of the Nigerian Bar Association election, is filled to the brim with lawyers and contestants, eagerly awaiting the announcement of the election, which was conducted via e-voting.
Anzi Bishop Caroline Ladidi won the election for this office of treasurer with 37.4% of the votes.
After announcing other positions vied for, the moment everyone awaits finally arrives. Thereafter, hugs, laughter, shouts of joy fill the air as Mr. Yakubu Mekiao is announced the president-elect of the Nigerian Bar Association. In his acceptance speech, the president-elect promises to run a transparent administration, promote the rule of law, and protect human rights in the country. He also urges the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to understudy the technology-driven electoral system of the NBA for a free and fair election in 2023.
Will continue to be the voice of the downtrodden, will continue to be the voice of the oppressed, and we will never be silent over the oppression of the people of this country, because that is the responsibility that is put upon our shoulders by reason of the privilege of being members of the legal profession.
The president of the body, Mr. Olumide Apata, whose tenure expires in August this year, disclosed that the NBA has mandated its Public Interest Litigation Committee to approach INEC to verify an allegation that it allowed the substitution of names of candidates that did not participate in primary election of their political parties.
The substitution is clear. So whether it be Nawan, whether it be Abio or whoever, I heard yesterday that there are still some people below the radar substitution who said, no, after the Public Interest Litigation Committee, headed by Dr. McQueen, I say, go to court next week. If indeed there's any candidate who was substituted, we'll go after them.
chairman of the Electoral Committee, gives a breakdown of the exercise conducted electronically.
1,348 ballots opened, but were not cast. That is 2.27% of the total.
Other national officers elected are Mrs. Linda Bala as first vice president, Mr. Clement Ugo as the second vice president, and Mrs. Amanda Demechi Asaba as the third vice president, among others. As the newly elected national officers get ready to take over the mantle of leadership come August, many expect that they will hit the ground running by matching words with action.
Back here in Lagos, the Leadership Conference has brought together aspiring leaders who want to create a niche for themselves in their various domains. Speakers at the event explained that the annual conference helps in partnering with leaders, innovators, professionals and entrepreneurs and transformation of individuals to great minds.
Hear from God.
An interactive session at the Lagos Leadership Conference 2022 in Lekki area of Lagos.
There is darkness in our society.
In attendance are leaders, intending leaders, and youth from all walks of life. The theme for the event, Leading in Season of Darkness and Confusion, draws attention to the challenge of having suitable leaders to give proper direction to the populace. The speakers tell those in attendance to assist in building leadership capacity of the youth, women, religious and business classes as they assume their rights of place in society.
Everywhere, all over the world, in families, in personal lives, everywhere, if you met any person, there is this kind of gloom all around, hopelessness, confusion, things are just not working. That is what you talk about, darkness. And so, in the midst of this, we are being led by God to put together this kind of program, one to deal with all levels of leaders.
Looking at leadership, a leader must take full responsibility because everything rises and falls around a leader. And looking at the gross darkness that brings a lot of inactivity and challenge and selfishness to our nation and to our world, we need to find out how to lead in this strange season of our nation and our world. You still have to combat.
And some of the participants share their thoughts about the leadership partnership experience.
Everywhere there is confusion, everywhere there is darkness, and leaders are failing us. So we need leaders who will bring light, leaders who will come in and change situation, leaders who can lead themselves before they can lead others.
We believe that coming out of this conference is going to be very impactful, particularly all the participants and the speakers that have spoken so much about what we've been going through. We believe that all of us, we have to go back and pray and also continue to remember our country, that we have no other country except Nigeria. There's no way, even if you go out of the country, you still have to combat.
Lagos Leadership Experience is an annual platform which brings together leaders from all spheres of life to share ideas and get fresh insight from notable leaders across the globe with the view of building leadership capacity. Still ahead of the news at 10, a Greek plane crash leaves all 8 crew members dead. I'll be on the foreign scene. Please join us again.
This has been our story since inception. And today, we can boast of a platform where everything is possible. And like before, we succeeded in getting more attention, didn't we? Quick Teller. Everyday payments made easy.
Welcome back. In spite of the fact that the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation has become a limited liability company, the price of petrol at the stations will not be affected. That's according to the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited, Malam Milikiari. He told Channels Television's Ladi Akedulele in our current affairs program Newsnight that the price at which Nigerians buy petrol is a policy decision made by the federal government. With the transformation, he says, the new company will be more transparent and accountable.
In the case of the price of petroleum, this is a policy matter. NNPC is going to be a supplier to the Federation at a fee. So the issue of at what price you sell petroleum will be decision of the state. If the state has maintained that we will continue to put subsidy on petroleum products, we're happy to do this. But it's a commercial venture. We'll have a service level agreement between us and the state. We will procure the products, we will sell to the state, and literally the state will step to the countrymen. I have seen no indication at this point in time that the state is ready to change any price of petroleum products. It has nothing to do with our operations. For us, what it really means is that this is business for us. We'll charge them fee, and at any point, so that this company can make money on behalf of its shareholders. More than anything, there's really no plan of tying this to our court over there. They have no relationship. Actually, it now becomes more demanding to be more transparent. NNPC is a partner company for the global EITI initiative, like very many other private companies that voluntarily chose to become partner company to the EITI. The meaning of this is that you're going to make certain basic disclosures to your shareholders and to the whole community that companies ordinarily are not required to do. And we'll keep that. We're not going to withdraw as a partner company to the EITI. That means that there are further requirements beyond what we are doing today. Beyond just publishing your financial statements, there are very many other disclosure requirements of being a partner company to the EITI. We believe that this is good for our company. We'll continue to sustain this. And as a matter of fact, as you may be aware, we're the only company that publishes its operational reports, production, sales, and everything on a monthly basis. No company does this anywhere in the world. There's no requirement to do this. As a matter of fact, I would borrow one of our colleagues' view that we're actually not just transparent, we're actually naked. And we're happy telling people that this is who we are, this is what we are trying to do, and on their behalf, and also because companies and your partners, particularly the lending community, the global energy community, would like to see what you are doing. Once they do, trust becomes higher, and your ability to access capital becomes real and easier. And ultimately, it gives you all the advantage that you require. So you lose nothing by being transparent.
You can watch the full interview with Malam Kiari on Newsnight. It airs tomorrow, Monday, July 18th, 2022 at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television. The agriculture sector is key to the diversification of Nigeria's economy from oil and gas. And cocoa is a major agricultural export commodity and foreign revenue earner for Nigeria. In this special report, our correspondent takes a look at the cocoa value chain from the cultivation of the crop to processing into packaged products for both local consumption and for export.
Cocoa is a major cash crop in Ondo State, southwest Nigeria. An estimated 155,000 hectares of arable land is used for its cultivation, with 16 out of the 18 local government areas of the state producing the crop.
I think governments want this thing to be more productive. Definitely they are supposed to at least to see that this irrigation is very important on the basis of cocoa. It's not the only arable crop that they need irrigation. Cocoa needs. So, but our government has not been working towards that. But notwithstanding, we've been meeting with them and they promise that they will at least vent into that system.
As part of efforts to boost production, the present administration embarked on the establishment of a 2,000 hectares model cocoa farm at Ijugbere camp near Owo.
The improved variety we get from here, they are disease resistant, they are high yielding, they have early maturity and all other good characteristics that we desire from them.
Akiolutu is the Senior Special Assistant to the State Governor on Agriculture and Agribusiness. He sheds light on the efforts of government to grow the business.
We have to give improved seedlings, and it's on record that this is the first administration, not just in Ondo State, but in the country, that has given out about 3 million seedlings of cocoa free of charge to farmers in the state.
The Ondo State Cocoa Revolution and Management Agency is an intervention agency established to improve the cocoa value chain. It intends to increase the productivity of the crop both in quality and quantity through modern, profitable and sustainable production technology.
In the last 10 years, all our cocoa output has been on the increase. No downward trend so far. And particularly that year that Mr. Governor approved it as an agency in 2020, we recorded then the highest output of about 83,000 metric tons, which was, as at then, the highest output in the last 20 years.
One of the industries engaged in processing cocoa into finished products in the state is Coop Cocoa Products Limited, managed by John Vance Industries Limited.
You have to grind to a very fine state to get to a state where you don't have any granules inside the liquor. So that is also where we include all other ingredients, the milk for the milk variant and then sugar for both variants we do at the moment. That is the milk and dark chocolates.
As the largest producer of cocoa in Nigeria, Ondo State has a lot to gain from the production, processing and export of cocoa and its derivatives. Agricultural experts advocate a strong partnership between farmers, educationists, researchers, as well as regulatory institutions to enhance the quality of Nigerian cocoa and its appeal in the international market.
Promoting the rights and welfare of the blind and visually impaired in Nigeria is expected of any society that protects its citizens with special needs and provides a framework for this to be a reality. Our correspondent Lumina Macaulay explains.
Blindness is visceral, like taking a deep breath and waiting to exhale. This disability is worldwide, age-long and historic, almost as old as mankind. Even Jesus said he came to give sight to the blind. Data is required on the numbers of vision impaired people there are and related statistics. A well-known figure is from the National Survey of Blindness and Visual Impairment in Nigeria, conducted from 2005 to 2007. What they found: females had a higher prevalence of blindness than males. Northeast Nigeria had a higher prevalence of blindness. Southwest Nigeria had the lowest prevalence of blindness. According to the survey at the period, an estimated 1,130,000 individuals aged 40 years and above in Nigeria are blind. But that survey was conducted in 2005. This is 2022. A visit to the Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs, LASODA, yields an audience with the General Manager.
Yes, data is a challenge, I would admit, in terms of planning, in terms of knowing how many, But be that as it may, at LASODA here, we have continuous working engagement with the different disability associations and also other government institutions.
A goalpost stands forlorn in a pool of water where a field is inundated by rainfall. A concern for the Pacheli School of the Blind and Partially Sighted in Lagos. Abosede Kayode arrives for our interview and demonstrates.
Both curious and excitement.
Abosede Kayode is blind and both her parents are deaf and dumb. This is her father, and this is how they communicate.
It was when I was 8 years, and the doctor said it was meningitis.
Meningitis is acute or chronic inflammation of the protective membranes covering the brain and spinal cord. It can lead to blindness.
When it comes to concerns of health, education, welfare, and the rest of it, I think the blind are shortchanged because when you find that their rights, such as mobility rights, are taken into concern, their rights are really not cared for. There are obstacles in the way and there are so many obstructions in the way that do not enable blind people to move around freely.
A more practical approach based on law, policy, and driven by current and reliable data will certainly be appreciated. Reporting from Lagos, Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, access to transportation for people living with disabilities continues to be a challenge, despite the signing of the Disability Act compelling transporters to make access for people living with disabilities a priority. Proper accessibility will entail massive adjustments by transporters, both behavioral and in terms of infrastructure on the buses and taxis. However, people living with disabilities say these adjustments must happen sooner. They believe their rights are being infringed upon and the inconveniences they face trying to use transport services are becoming unbearable. Our correspondent, Kayla Megwa, has more.
As of 2020, there are approximately 27 million Nigerians living with one form of disability or the other. And this is according to the National Bureau of Statistics. To truly understand the transportation issues faced by people living with disabilities, I've asked a few of them to come over for a chat. What do they face while using public transport?
Most of the drivers and cyclists, they cannot sign. So when you are talking with them concerning where you are going to, there must be confusion.
Carrying you is a burden. They would prefer to carry persons without wheelchair, other person, and also charge you more than the person without a disability.
Most of these taxis, they use this sign to describe where they are going to. And at the end of the day, due to my low vision, I'll be like, please wait, for instance, I'm going to area 1. They'll be like, see my hand now, I'm pointing to this other side.
Most of the buses are so high that me climbing them, is always difficult.
What solutions do they prefer that could ease the burden that they carry?
I use my phone without nobody assistance because of the talkback on it. So if that can be, applied in buses and taxis, it really helps.
Whatever type of transport system, they are accessible to citizens with disabilities in developed countries. Nigeria needs to do more.
The Discrimination Against People with Disabilities Prohibition Act was signed into law on January 23, 2019. The bill seeks to criminalize discrimination against persons with disabilities, proposing sanctions such as a 1 million naira fine for corporate entities and 100,000 naira or 6 months imprisonment for individuals found guilty. Public transportation service providers are to make provision for the physically, visually and hearing impaired and all persons, however challenged. The new law also gives Nigerians living with disabilities the right to file a lawsuit for damage against any defaulter, individual or corporate. The law provides for a 5-year transitional period within which public buildings, structures or automobiles are to be modified to be accessible to and usable by persons with disabilities. It's been 3 years since the Disability Act was signed, and while airports and train stations have largely complied with disability-friendly alternatives, public buses are a different story. These public buses we visited at the AYA roundabout in Abuja still don't have ramps for people in wheelchairs or a holder for the chairs. There's no sign language person in sight to cater to the hearing and speech impaired. And with the speed these cars are moving at, there's no consciousness of the low vision experienced by people living with albinism. The Special Assistant to the President on Persons Living with Disabilities gives some insight as to why the Disability Act is being ignored.
When people begin to go to court to say, look, my right has been infringed, so I believe that by that time, the people in the transport sector will begin to look at how to have those buses that are accessible for persons with disabilities.
Transportation hits people living with disabilities hard because they must move around to earn a living. Society in many ways does not recognize their struggles, and legislation to protect them are largely ignored. In the next 2 years, however, people with disabilities will be able to insist that these disability-friendly rules are complied with, or else defaulting transporters will have to face the full wrath of the law. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
Beyond our shores now, longer-serving member of South Africa's governing African National Congress, Jessie Duarte, has died at the age of 68 after suffering from cancer. She was the party's Secretary-General and a veteran politician. Ms. Duarte served as Nelson Mandela's personal assistant from 1990 to 1994, following his release from prison. The National ANC spokesperson, Pule Mabe, said this about her in a statement. The passing of Comrade Jessie is a great loss, not only to the family, but to the democratic movement and the country as a whole. She has been buried according to Muslim rites. And all 8 people aboard a cargo plane carrying 11 tons of weapons, including landmines, to Bangladesh, has crashed in northern Greece. The aircraft was flying from Serbia to Jordan when it crashed late on Saturday, close to the city of Kavala. Drones were used to survey the site of the wreckage out of caution, while Greek media said the army, explosives experts and Greek Atomic Energy Commission staff were not approaching the site until it was deemed safe. The pilot had reportedly requested an emergency landing at Kavala Airport in Greece due to an engine problem shortly after takeoff, but was unable to reach the runway. The plane was noticed at about 10:45 p.m. local time by residents. Mayor of the Ukrainian city of Mykolaiv, Alexander Senkovich, says Russian missiles have hit industrial facilities. There's been no immediate information about the casualties, but regional governor Vasily Kim says the city came under massive shelling in the early hours of today. There's more on this weekend's attacks. The Ukrainian city of Mykolaiv has come under heavy shelling by the Russian forces since Thursday last week, when footage showed firefighters attempting to put out fires next to a destroyed building. The location of the video was later verified by nearby buildings and roads that matched satellite and file imagery of the Admiral Makarov National University in Mykolaiv. Once again, the city has been hit by Russian missiles. Over in the Donetsk region, plumes of smoke are seen rising into the sky as emergency workers rush to tend to wounded residents after a missile attack. The attack hit a residential area in the city of Pokrovsk, killing and seriously wounding local residents. According to the head of Donetsk Region Police, Ruslan Ospenkov, the aggressor shelled the city with multiple rocket launchers at 1-hour intervals. The exact number of casualties is still being determined, he says. And while the Russian Defense Ministry has said nothing about the weekend attacks, it did, however, gloat over shooting down a Ukrainian Mi-17 helicopter near the eastern town of Slovyansk and an Su-25 aircraft in Kharkiv region, as Moscow steps up its military operation. The army also said its long-range air-based missiles have destroyed a depot in an industrial zone in the city of Odessa that stored Harpoon anti-ship missiles delivered to Ukraine by NATO. And on Sunday, relatives and local residents said a final goodbye to 4-year-old Lisa Dmitrieva, who was killed in a Russian missile strike in Ukraine. The girl with Down syndrome died on Thursday after a strike hit the Ukrainian city of Vinnytsia, killing 24 people in total. Her body was found in the debris next to a pram. Images of her pushing the same pram posted by her mother on a blog less than 2 hours before the attack quickly went viral. Her severely injured mother was not able to attend the funeral as she was being kept in an information blackout at a hospital for fear that finding out about her daughter would kill her. Sports News now. 2021-2022 NPFL champions Rivers United have finally gotten their hands on the NPFL trophy for the first time in the club's history. A Port Harcourt-based team who were already declared champions with 3 games to play this evening ended their campaign with win against Gombe United by a lone goal to finish the season with 77 points from 38 league games. Meanwhile, Governor Nyesom Wike has rewarded each player with ₦1 million for the win, recorded this evening, while assuring them of a bigger reward for winning the league title.
will go home.
Say a few words after you.
You go home happy. Those of you who are your parents will be happy that you are Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
For Rivers, other players will be rushing
to come.
Having won this trophy now, other players will be rushing.
Yes,
so you want to also take your own position.
Yes.
You two must be ready.
Yes.
That nobody comes.
Yes.
To take your
position.
Do you understand me?
Yes.
But for this match today, not the trophy.
Yes.
For this match today, just this one. Just this one. Not the trophy is something else. The trophy is already with us. Yes. When you come and bring the trophy, the River State will announce what is there for you. Yes. But just as part of it, I just came for training. So when this one, all of you take 1 million naira.
Heartland FC and Katsina United have been relegated from the Nigeria Professional Football League following the conclusion of the 2022-2023 games across the country earlier today. Heartland beat Kwara United 1-0, but it was not enough to retain their spot in the NPFL, while Wiki Tourists beat Katsina United 2-0 to join already relegated Kano Pillars and MFM FC in the Nigeria National League next season. It was, however, cheery news for Remo Stars, who picked a ticket to the CAF Confederation Cup after just a season in the NPFL. The Kenya-based team defeated Niger Tornadoes 3-0. Takada FC beat Sunshine Stars by the same scoreline. Plateau United, Abia Warriors, Rangers and relegated Pillars all picked home wins on final day. Australia's Cameron Smith has claimed his first major title earlier today after a stunning final round of 64 saw him win the 150th British Open at St Andrews by a one-stroke margin. Smith began the day 4 short off the lead, but his 8-under par final round lifted him to a 20-under for the championship and saw him finish a shot clear of Cameron Young of the United States, with Rory McIlroy another shot back in third. At the age of 28, Smith is the first Australian in almost 3 decades to win the British Open since Greg Norman claimed his second claret jug at Royal St George's in 1993.
Is that your ball?
Argentina's Francisco Cerundolo has won his first ATP Tour title with a straight-set victory over compatriot Sebastian Baez in the final of the Swedish Open earlier today. Cerundolo won the matchup of the baseline specialists in just under an hour and 15 minutes to secure the trophy 7-6, 6-2 in the ATP 250 event.
Titel i karriären, Francisco Cerundolo.
And the main news again. Senator Ademola Adeleke today won the Osun State governorship election on his second try, beating incumbent Governor Boyega Oyitola. In announcing the results, the Chief Returning Officer and the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, said that Senator Adeleke scored 371, to beat Governor Oyetola, who scored 375,927 votes. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.